Whipple Family Misadventures. Book 1, Welcome to the Parent of an Alien Hedgehog Club. Chapter 5. Forgetting everything else, Wade tore outside, reaching Silver in seconds. Quickly, he flipped him over onto his back, relieved to see he was still breathing.
What happened?
We were playing outside. He was fine. He was hovering in the air, like he does. I was throwing snowballs at him, and he was trying to catch them with his mind and throw them back. Suddenly he came down. He had this weird look on his face. He took a few steps and fell down into the snow.
Quickly, Wade swallowed the wave of panic that threatened to gray everything out and send him into a fit. Silver didn't have time for that. Thinking back to the CPR class he had taken a few years ago, he did a quick scan for visible injuries and came up with nothing. He looked fine. In fact, if he didn't know any better, Silver just looked like he had chosen to take a little nap in the snow. Wade scooped him up and then remembered that he couldn't take him to a human hospital before he glanced down at Sonic as an idea bloomed.
Run and go tell your mom. I think I'll have to bring him to the clinic.
With a nod, Sonic shot out of the yard.
Hang on, buddy.
Wade took him inside, grabbed his keys and shoes and headed for his car. Natty was all business, waiting in front of the clinic with Sonic. She took Silver from Wade's arms and gently placed him on his back on the front counter.
Sonic already told me what happened. Did anything happen to him earlier?
Reaching out, Wade just gently stroked Silver's quills.
No, he seemed fine.
Is he going to be okay?
I hope so. I don't know that much about you guys yet. At least he's still breathing, and I don't see any visible wounds. But it could be something more. Sonic, you stay here.
Why?
Because I need a healthy version to compare him to.
She sighed as she picked Silver up again and took him through swinging doors, Wade and Sonic trailing after her.
I had a friend back in vet school who went on to become an exotic animal doctor. I might need to contact her and ask her a few questions.
Is that a good idea?
Well, I let her think that the hedgehogs I'm treating are pet hedgehogs, not kid hedgehogs.
She went back to examining Silver, setting him down on one of the exam counters. After a moment, she frowned.
This probably isn't relevant to this issue, but do you know anything about these old wounds? They look like burn marks.
Wade leaned over to look, peering at the delicate marks under Silver's fur on his legs and belly.
I'm not sure. The first night he was with me, he seemed spooked from when I started a fire in my wood. Burning stove. He didn't want to be anywhere close to it. I can't imagine him wanting to play with fire.
These are old. Just something to keep in mind.
She studied him a few minutes more.
Sonic, can I look at you for a second?
He bounced up eagerly.
Open up, Sonic.
She peered in his mouth for a few seconds, and then squeezed the skin on his arm. She glanced back at Silver, then proceeded to open his mouth again.
Wade, did you see him drink anything today?
Wade mentally thought back over the day. Breakfast, the fiasco with the lasagna, and then Sonic coming over, the two of them going outside, until Sonic came running and saying Silver collapsed. Lol.
I didn't see him.
Makes sense.
Natty moved away and started to put together some of her stuff, one that included a large pouch.
It looks like he's severely dehydrated.
Those words were like a punch to the gut. Wade blinked.
How do you...
Look at how pale his gums are, especially compared to Sonic's.
Natty came back with a bag of fluids and started to insert an IV into Silver's slim little arm.
I can't know for sure without asking him, but if I had to guess, I'd say he hasn't had anything to drink since yesterday, and he finally passed out.
Stricken, Wade stared down at the small gray hedgehog. It had never occurred to him to be constantly checking if the kid was drinking water. He thought at 10 years old, someone could tell if they were thirsty.
That makes no sense.
I'll give him some fluids and we'll see if he comes around. Ask him a few questions. If not, I'm going to try and figure out what else might have happened. Sonic mentioned he has mind powers.
Yes, his hands have these marks. They light up, and then he can move things. But I don't know anything else about it besides that. Lol.
She nodded again.
Do you mind if I stay here until he wakes up?
Not at all, Wade.
Just because I'm curious besides that. How does he look, health-wise?
Natty pursed her lips, studying the small hedgehog for a few moments before she spoke.
I'm not sure how much he should weigh at this age, but based on his body's condition and how prominently I can see his ribs, I would say he's a little underweight. I couldn't really say how much he would need to gain. Also, he really needs his teeth cleaned, and I want to ask him more about those scars. But I think part of that is I don't know what his normal is. When he's better, I should get him back here so I can get normal vitals for him. Come on, Blueberry, let's go call your dad. We might be here overnight if Silver doesn't start feeling better in a few hours.
Putting a hand on the blue hedgehog's shoulder, the two of them headed for the front desk to make a call. Pulling up a chair, Wade sat down to wait. 10 minutes later, Maddie came back and decided to move him. She set up a makeshift hospital room inside one of the exam rooms. Another time, Wade would have found it amusing that she hauled out a large dog bed on top of the exam table, so Silver had something comfortable to lay on. But currently, it wasn't that amusing. Carefully, he tasked himself with rearranging the blanket over Silver, making sure he wouldn't get cold.
Tom will be here soon. He also said for you not to worry about work.
Oh, yeah. My shift started over an hour ago.
He understands. If you want to go grab something to eat for dinner, I'll stay here with him.
Are you sure, Maddie?
Of course. We might be here a while.
By the time Wade had left, ordered himself a sandwich for dinner, saw something in a shop window and quickly bought it, and then returned to the clinic. He found Tom had arrived and out sitting by the main counter, looking like he was waiting for Wade to get back.
I am so sorry about missing my shift.
I know had bigger things on your mind, like your kid's health and well-being.
He's not my kid. He's not staying with me. I have to find some other arrangements for him.
Have you told him that?
We've talked about it a little bit. I told him I wasn't just going to show him the door and make him leave. But beyond that, no. I just can't keep him.
Why not?
Because, look at me. I'm not the kind of person who should be given that type of responsibility. My parents never married. It doesn't bother me that much now that I'm an adult. But my father left my mom, and when I was 8, I haven't seen him since. Don't really want to see him if he did show up, but that's not the point. I don't know how to take care of a kid. I didn't have a dad growing up. I don't have the first idea of what to do, and I probably just mess up a kid the same way my father messed me up. And that's not something I'd want to pass on to someone else.
Wade was silent, wondering if he had conveyed how much poison that single word carried within his mind. How after his own father had disappeared, his name had been banned from their household because it hurt his mom too much to talk about him. How the word dad was suddenly erased from his vocabulary. Somehow, Tom managed to look sympathetic without looking like he pitied his deputy.
Well, that's a pretty good reason. If you want to leave him here for good and just go home, we'll make sure he's taken care of.
Swallowing, Wade glanced toward the door, realizing Tom just offered him a way out. It would be easy. Just turn and walk out of the clinic, go back home, and forget the last few days had ever happened. Tom and Maddie were nice people. They wouldn't kick Silver out into the harsh snow. But then again, Silver would be waking up in a strange place and have no idea where he was or what happened. He wouldn't even know who Maddie was. He wouldn't know why Wade had just left him without saying goodbye. It was with those thoughts that Wade knew he couldn't hand Silver off to someone else to care for, because he'd be thinking and worrying about the poor kid forever. If he was okay, if he got better, or if he was still sick. How was he adjusting to being on Earth? What if whoever took him in wasn't a good fit? What if they only wanted to exploit him? It was crazy. Just a few days ago, he had gotten home from work, got takeout, and then fell asleep on the couch. Now he was at a clinic and was deciding on whether or not he would let the alien kid who dropped into his life stick around.
I couldn't do that to him.
Sounds like you made a decision.
Yeah, I guess. Still scared I'm going to mess it up?
Everyone is scared they're going to mess this up. It's a big deal to be responsible for another person's livelihood. But that's a good sign, because horrible people don't care if they're horrible or not. The fact that you care is good.
Yeah, but still.
Well then, what about your mom?
What about her?
Was she a good mom?
Yeah, she was great. She sacrificed a lot for me to be a single parent. Looking back as an adult, I can now tell things weren't that easy for her. And I'm not sure how she did it, but she didn't let me know that when I was young.
Then don't worry about your missing dad or concern yourself about if you'd end up like him. Just emulate the kind of parent she was. But if you're really that worried, I'll loan you some parenting books. Welcome to the parent of an alien hedgehog club.
Parent? Like his dad?
He literally had just accepted the idea of keeping the little fluff ball around. He wasn't sure if he was ready to go back and announce himself as the Hedgehog's new dad.
I think that will be between the two of you. Maybe he won't want you to be his dad. Maybe you'll be more of an uncle figure or something. Guardian, either way, I got some books you can read. They were a big help to us the first few weeks with Sonic.
I can't believe you guys actually need books. You seem like you got everything together.
Hey Wade, he's coming around, and if his powers are anything like Sonic described, I don't want him to freak out.
Hey buddy, how are you feeling?
Tired. Where are we?
We're at a clinic. This is Sonic's mom, Maddie. She works here. She's been taking care of you. Do you remember what happened?
I was with Sonic outside.
And you collapsed, so I brought you here for her to look at you.
I'm an animal doctor. When I took a look at you, I found you're dehydrated. Do you know what that means? It means you haven't been drinking enough water and it made you sick. Did you drink anything today?
No, I wasn't really thirsty earlier, and then I forgot later on.
That doesn't make sense. Explain that to me.
Back where I'm from, there's not a lot of water. You had to save it and be careful, or there will be none left.
Okay, but that's not a problem here on Earth. You don't need to push yourself and make yourself sick going hours without drinking anything anymore. All right?
When Silver nodded, Wade realized that might be easier said than done, as ingrained habits could be hard to break, and it would be difficult for him to monitor how much water Silver was drinking.
I'll help you figure something out.
Okay, can we go home?
Home. Just that one word, and Wade knew exactly where he wanted to go, as if Silver had lived there forever, and not just a few days.
Soon, when Maddie says you're good to go.
Reaching over, Maddie took the gray hedgehog's wrist, like she was feeling for his pulse.
You look better, but I want you to eat and drink something first before you go. I'll get that now.
As soon as Maddie had left the room, Wade cleared his throat awkwardly.
When you asked about going home, what if it was forever?
Huh?
I want you to stay with me. Not just for a bit, but, for good.
Really? Like how Sonic lives with Den?
Sure, if that's what you want. But also, I got you something.
Wade reached down and picked up his bag, taking out a pure white plush toy. He had seen an isopod plush sitting in the window, and his eye had been drawn to it, noticing how it was nearly the same fur color and size as Silver. To him, it looked like a leggy, armored feather duster, truthfully. He wasn't sure how long Silver would have to stay at the clinic, and had immediately wanted him to have something comforting.
Whoa! What is it?
It's called an isopod. They're these creatures that live in our oceans. I saw it, and it's almost the same color as you.
He grinned as Silver hugged it tightly.
I'm glad you like it.
An hour later, after eating his own sandwich and monitoring as Silver had some soup and an entire glass of water, Wade was relieved when Maddie finally decided he was fit to leave.
Come back whenever you're free so I can get some normal vitals.
Will do. Come on, Silver.
Silver hovered behind him obediently, still clutching his isopod plush tightly.
If I'm going to be staying at your house, do I still have to sleep on your couch?
For tonight, yeah.
Wade said, loading him into the back of his car.
Put that seatbelt on. You have to wear it.
Every time?
Every time you ride in the car, you have to wear this strap. It's the law.
Wade said, making sure the hedgehog was buckled in before he got into the front seat and starting the car.
But for now, it will be the couch. But not forever. I'll get you a bed.
In the back of his car, Silver looked tiny, just a small gray fluff ball next to his toy.
I want one of those beds that hang from the walls, but make sure it's really high up.
A hammock? No, you need a real bed.
The drive home was short and quick, over in less than 5 minutes. Pulling into the driveway, Wade turned off the car and twisted around.
Well, Silver, welcome home.
Silver beamed back at him. The two of them had barely left the car when Silver's ears suddenly perked, and he looked around the yard anxiously.
Did you hear that?
Wade knew from an earlier talk that their hearing was better than a human's, but this gave more evidence to that idea as he hadn't heard anything.
What is it, Silver?
He asked, looking around as well, not seeing anything in the dark.
Someone else is here. I heard something breathing really loudly.
He pointed toward the massive bushes on the edge of Wade's property.
Probably just an animal from the woods.
What if it's a lost person or burglar who's going to break into the house tonight when you're asleep and steal everything?
That's a dumb burglar if they are planning on robbing a police officer's house. If anyone's there, come on out.
Both of them heard something hurriedly moving from them, heading toward the trees.
That's too small to be a person. Probably a squirrel or a raccoon or something. Deer, maybe. Nothing to worry about.
Can I just...
No, it's gone now. It won't bother us. We're fine.